Welcome to ZOOMERTIMES TV. And here's your host, Anita Finley.
Hello, everybody. This is ZOOMERTIMES TV with ZOOMERTIMES. I'm Anita Finley, and I'm your host. And I have John Ahlbum, who is the president of the Ahlbum Insurance Group and the founder, as a matter of fact. You've heard of John before. He's been a very big part of our organization for many years. Also, I am a United American aficionado, as I say. It's been wonderful being with them. My husband, Bill, was with them before he passed away. Maybe even where he is now, he has them. I don't know. Who knows? But I know that he believed in United American. So welcome to our show, John. And I'm so glad that you're here with us to explain some of the confusing parts about the HMOs and the supplements and everything. If you're in Medicare, it's not easy somehow. Tell us about that.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoy your show so much. And I just am really dumbfounded with what the ads and all the other things are getting away with, because legally everything I read that they're breaking the law, but there's nobody in Washington to enforce it, so they're doing it. I mean, some of these promises and the fact they're offering people money back on their premium, that's against the law. You can't refund premium for an Advantage plan, because that's part of their setup originally, but they just keep on doing what they want to do.
Well, who's supposed to curtail that? Is there someone, insurance? Who is in charge of that?
Unfortunately, there's nobody doing anything about it, and they can't find the people I've talked to and the reports I've read. The groups that are supposed to, enforce the rules are just looking the other way.
Well, it's amazing, because when I get advertising from some of these very large companies, boy, they have to cross their T's, dot their I's. They have to have it approved. They can't be on Zoom because they're not allowed to say this and that. So I thought it was very highly organized.
It was supposed to be, but this advertising stuff that they're doing, and they're getting away with it, and they're promising things that don't ever happen. And what they don't tell you is that they get so much a month per person from Uncle Sam.
Ah, right.
And they don't get more if they're doing a TV ad. They don't get more if they're giving away gym memberships. They don't get more if they're doing this or that. So it all comes out of the overall thing. But the management isn't taking pay cuts or losing out on their dividends and those things. So the only place that is suffering is the actual medical care that they're supposed to be providing, because that is the bottom of the line to them. Everything else in their mind is more important. So they'd rather give away a pair of shoes than to, have somebody go get treated by a doctor.
Very sad to hear that, John. I will tell you that I have raved about United American so much, and my one friend she hasn't had any hospitalizations or things like this before, and she did break her wrist, and the first thing that they didn't know that she had a United American, started telling about all the things she had to pay, and she called me and I said, you're not gonna have to pay anything. And so at the very end, they had tacked on stuff, and she said, I don't believe that. Then when they checked with United American, she didn't have to pay anything.
Huh. And plus she got to have good care and good doctors and her
Oh yes, the best surgeon and everything. So it was,
yeah.
So you're very smart. And I always tell people, if you watch the amount that the extra money is for the supplement compared to what you get with an HMO, you don't have to go and wait your turn until you could talk to someone, and then they only have certain doctors. I mean, listen, if you don't have money, if you don't have enough, you have to do this. And thank goodness there is something like this, that there are people that can be taken care of. But if you have to decide between a trip or go and do something that's, that's pleasurable, or get this kind of insurance, I think that United American is a much better bet. And that's how I've always felt about it.
I totally agree.
Well, let me also.
One thing you don't see on their ads, and we've talked about it a couple times in the office here, is very noticeable. You don't see one of those former football players or somebody holding up a sign that says, "We're now accepted at Anderson Clinic in Houston. If you have cancer, you can now go to Sloan Kettering in New York. You can now go here or there." They never mention a new hospital. They never mention the fact that they're not accepted in most of the major, specialized facilities in the country. But they still keep on talking the way they're talking,
And John, why are those hospitals not accepting what the HMOs have?
Because they don't want to pay the hospital for what Medicare would pay them. And most of the doctors aren't part of their, like W.D. Anderson and those, most of the doctors aren't part of their network. So they're not even, able to take care of anybody as far as the plans go.
Yeah, so that's good. I'm glad you said that, because that's the whole point, that a lot of doctors, under the circumstances that you just said, are not getting the kind of the money that they feel they have to get. They've had a lot of education, and they're very, they need certain things, and I guess the hospitals too, they expect certain amounts. And so, listen, I'm just glad you're doing what you're doing. At the time that you first got involved in with the United American and your insurance, you didn't realize this was all going to happen, did you? I mean, it was an insurance company that you were working with. But it did turn out that way, didn't it? That what you did was the right thing.
And United American is a phenomenal company. They've been around since Medicare started. Well, before Medicare started, but they actually were one of the first people to provide supplements. So when Medicare first started, there wasn't a plan A, B, C, and all of those for the supplements. They came out with their own and came out with their, designed their own plan within certain limits. And then I think it was in the 90s that Medicare revitalized and standardized all the plans. I might have the dates wrong, but some of the plans, like the Plan F, when that was standardized with Medicare, it was actually copied from a plan that United American had been offering voluntarily for years. All the benefits they offered in it. So the company has been a leader in the Medicare market. And when I started out, a lot of my first clients that I got were referred to me by doctors that I knew from, or somebody would call me and say, "I understand you sell United American. My doctor said that's the best plan to have. Can we get together?" Things like that.
Right.
The doctors were one of our biggest proponents back then. And they still are to a certain degree,
Well, the receptionists that answer the phones certainly know something that maybe people don't know, because they start questioning you if you have an HMO, but they don't once you tell them it's United American.
Right. Well, that's the sad part, is a lot of the offices aren't training their people on the phone, so that all they know is the list of HMOs and PPOs that they accept. And the question, once I tell somebody, just ask them if they accept traditional Medicare. And half the time they say no. And I said, well, they can't not accept traditional Medicare if they're accepting HMOs and PPOs. So they don't understand the question.
Right. You have a lot of work to do. I can see that you have to talk to doctors, their offices, educate them. Do you send out information or flyers to them? How do you handle this?
Well, we used to, but we're not supposed to anymore. But we used to, the doctor's offices that used to let us come in there and actually set up and do presentations or hand out materials in their office. And we still have some materials in some doctor's offices.
But you can't bring lunch like they used to let you do?
What's that?
I know a lot of the reps bring lunch and then they get to talk to people. Can you do that?
They never asked us to bring lunch or anything. They just wanted us to be there to explain people what the difference between a supplement and why we thought United American was good.
Well, maybe you need to rethink this in
But
order to get into
after
these
the MA
big
plan,
offices.
but we still have doctors that refer us and recommend us. And it's good.
Yeah. And of course, you're always there. I know you advertise all the time and you're at the expos and you're at all the kinds of things that I know we do. And I know that you're always looking for opportunities to tell people about United American. My guest is John Ahlbum, Ahlbum, and he is the founder and CEO of the Ahlbum Insurance Group. They're located in Margate, but lots of things can be done just as we're doing now on Zoom, or you can go to their office, or you can just talk to them on the telephone. It's pretty simple, and they will explain it, and they're very truthful. I can attest to that. You can call me and I'll give you a testimonial about it. So I'm very happy. Let me give you a phone number while we're talking though. I always ask you to have some sort of a notebook or something where you won't lose your phone numbers. I mean, I have to be very careful myself. So the number's 877-970-4760. Again, 877-970-4760. And you can certainly get on their website, and that's AHLBUM, albumgroup.com. Did I get that all right, John?
You did, and we also have another website that it makes it very easy for people if they forget the phone number or the name. It's Medicare.com.
Oh, Medicare.com?
Medicare twice and .com, and that'll give them our phone number and address.
Ah, so it's Medicare twice, Medicare.com?
Yes.
That was very smart. Is that new?
Yes, it's fair, yes.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have to get Dan to add that to your ad somehow. We'll figure that out. That's very clever. No, that's a good thing to think about. If you can't get a website, repeat the word.
That's it.
Remember, we'll remember that. Well, let me just tell you that I have been very confused myself with a lot of the ads that are on when you're watching TV. And I don't know if it's going to change now. You said why don't you go through that again? If you're looking for insurance and you didn't decide on supplemental and you were looking at HMOs or PPOs or HMO advantages, tell us what the dates are that you can even do this.
Well, of course, if you're just starting on Medicare or leaving an employer plan or something like that, you can do it anytime. But the open enrollment period, if you're already on Medicare and already have a plan of some sort, say to go from a supplement to an advantage plan, is October 15th to December 7th. And then there's another open enrollment, but it's just for basically advantage to advantage and that type of stuff from January 1st to March 30th. But the earlier one is when people can change their drug plans and they can review their coverage and they can do things. You can change a supplement to a different supplement or to, upgrade, or if you want to save some money, maybe go to a lower premium plan anytime. If you're staying on traditional Medicare, and generally if you're staying within the same company. But the Advantage plan has the, the open enrollment period for Advantage plans and for drug plans and for everything else is that period in December, or period in November and December, really is the craziest time of the year for all of us. But.
Right. So, but you said that if you are on an HMO or a PPO, anytime you want to drop that, you can go to a supplemental like yours. Is that all year?
No, it's really just during the open enrollment period. Although there are ways, if you move out of the service area, if something happens with the plan where you've lost, coverage, or there's also a rule that says if you feel like you were lied to or misled, you can use that to get out of it. But a lot of people just stay until the next enrollment period and then they get out. Also, if you've been on a plan, if you left a supplement and you've been on the plan less than 12 months, you can go back onto a supplement on a guaranteed basis.
I see. I do have a question about second opinion. So let's say I just went to an ophthalmologist to check on my cataracts, and I wasn't really so satisfied with some of the things he did, and I wanted to go to another ophthalmologist for a second opinion. Will I still be covered to do that with Medicare?
Medicare and United American will cover the second opinion.
They will.
Yes, but a Advantage plan won't.
What?
An Advantage plan, an HMO and a PPO won't cover second opinion.
Ah, that's a very important answer. And I didn't know that was going to be the answer, but I'm so glad to hear that. Do I have a reason or something that?
Just that, you're getting one opinion from a doctor, the first doctor you saw.
What did you say?
Obviously, he said something or didn't say something that you wanted to hear or didn't hear, or whatever.
Right. Yeah, he just wasn't as friendly.
And you want to see if there's an alternative or a different way to do your cataracts.
Yes. Yes. That's what it is. It wasn't casual. Because usually I'm very happy with when I go to a doctor, but there were a lot of things he told me, and I had never been told that before, but when I went to ophthalmologists before, so I don't know if I really trust him. That sounds crazy because he's well known and all, but I don't have a good feeling. So I wanted to go to another one.
Sure. You can certainly do that.
Okay, good. Well, I was going to check with you. And then the other thing is, he told me that if I wanted to have a regular checkup, to have the cataracts removed, but I have to have a special kind of a lens, and that's very expensive. So he said that comes out of your pocket. So that's probably true, isn't it?
That part, in fact, I'm talking to a doctor about cataracts too, and he told me there's no need for the special lens.
Good. See, that's what I'm worried about. This guy told me all these things.
We go in with a laser, we cut a perfectly round circle and cut out the old cataract, and we fit a new one right in that same spot, a new lens.
So he said that you don't need this other stuff that they tell you about.
Right. That's what he told me.
Maybe I'm going to have to find out who you went to.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, because I was going to go to the big institute up in Palm Beach Gardens or Miami, because I thought maybe that would work better, but I don't know.
They're good too, and they'll only take supplements, by the way. They won't take an Advantage plan.
Ah, that's very interesting. Okay. See, so that's something to think. That's very important that you said that today in this conversation, that a lot of the institutes that we know have great reputations are not taking the Advantage plans or the HMOs. Do PPOs, do they take those?
No, because a
Tell
PPO,
me what the difference in the
that's still an
PPO.
Advantage plan.
What?
A PPO is an Advantage plan. PPO and HMOs are both Medicare Advantage plans.
Okay, so what actually is a PPO compared to just an HMO Advantage plan?
I missed that, I'm sorry.
What is the definition of a PPO compared to the HMO Advantage? What's the difference?
Well, a PPO is supposed to be a preferred provider organization, where an HMO is a something medical organization. And the HMOs are usually more limited, where the PPO is a little broader, you know, as far as coverage goes and network and that kind of stuff. But still, I know Baskin Palmer wasn't accepting any HMOs or PPOs. And there's other, you know, good hospitals like that that won't.
So does the PPO cost money?
Say again?
Does the PPO cost money?
Some of them do. Most of them are paid for by, you know, they're all part of that Advantage plan stuff.
Yeah.
But it ends up costing the policyholder money because they have to pay for things out of pocket that they wouldn't normally have to pay if they had, you know, Medicare and a supplement.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I haven't had any major surgeries. This would be the first one, having the cataract, other than in 1974. So I have been, but I have always wanted to make sure that I had the right opportunity, the right physicians, in case I did need something. I didn't want to, you know, say, oh, I should have done that. That's what a lot of people do. They say, oh, I didn't know, and why didn't I do that? Right? That's probably what you hear.
But you can get, you know, different opinions on, especially where the one that you went to see wants you to do the $3,000 lens or whatever it is. You can actually go see somebody else, and when you make the appointment, say, I don't want to have to buy the super duper lens. I want advice on a regular lens. So I'll give you the name of the doctor that it's actually a group that I went to. But I asked him about the super duper. He said, why spend the money? He said, it's just as good doing the other.
That's interesting, because he would make money if you did that. So look at that.
Probably.
Yeah, so that's a good doctor. I'd be interested. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm sure you can probably see fairly well as I do really now. And so I've been putting it off because I worry about that. How about you?
It's only recently that they told me that I needed cataract surgery. I've been seeing a specialist because I was having, in my right eye, they thought there was a little tear, which isn't there. And he's been watching it for like 3 years. And he said, it hasn't changed a bit, so you don't have to worry about it. But he said, I just looked in your left eye and you ought to go look in the cataracts in that eye. And I said, they've been telling me that for years. He said, well, this time it's for real, because what they had told me years, you know, over the years was going to be cataract surgery someday, but you don't need it yet. And then when he told me a month ago that I needed it, I followed up on it, and sure, I do.
In both eyes?
Just in my left eye.
Oh, well, I have to do it in both.
Okay.
But also, you wear glasses then afterwards for either distance or near, if you do it regularly.
Well, he's gonna do monovision. That's what I have had in this eye anyway, because I've been wearing a contact lens in it. And I've been
Oh,
this eye and distance with this eye. But he said he could also design a pair of glasses for driving and stuff so that I'd have more depth perception by having both eyes, going deep. So,
mhm. Well, I've been told I'm much older than you, so I've been told I needed cataract surgery for probably 4 or 5 years. I've needed it, but other than having a little bit of, my distance isn't great, but I have to, when I'm driving, I can see what I'm doing. But if I want to read signs, it's not as easy. But as you know, as a publisher of Boomer Times, I have to read every little thing, and I have no problem. I have no impaired vision. I'm looking at your ad right now. And actually, when I take my glasses off, I can even see it better. So I don't really know, there's something, and I don't want to waste all your time talking about this, but this is a point that you're there for me to talk to. A lot of people who have insurance agents, they don't know who to talk to. This is a good point that we've just done.
I think Dan can do it. That's one of the things.
Clients know who you are, you and your son and your family, so they can
That's
talk
one of
to
the things we specialize in is the fact that we're always there to answer questions, and we encourage them to contact us with a question.
Yeah,
We don't have the answer, we'll get the answer for them.
right. That's true. Well, let me just tell you, we've just run out of time, but this is John Ahlbum, Ahlbum. You can see how friendly he is and knowledgeable. And his website is ahlbumgroup.com, AHLBUM. His phone number is 877-970-4760. And they have another very easy website called Medicare.com. It's a fabulous website. I'm really laughing about that. That's very clever. Okay, John. So thank you so much always for being there and being so supportive. And we'll talk later about your ophthalmologist.
I'll get in touch. I'll give you a call. Okay.
Thank you very much, John. Bye.
Bye-bye, Anita.